Okay, real talk. Because the retirement we were promised didn't quite work out the way we thought it would. The disappearance of pensions, volatile markets, rising health care, and now shaky Social Security. That leaves many of us working longer than we planned to. And that's not a prediction, that's our reality, because we're there right now. So if Gen Z follows the same financial path that Gen X did, like delaying or assuming there's plenty of time to fix it, then they could find themselves in even a much worse position than what we're in. We can teach them differently. So at the minimum, they'll be okay. And at best, they could be significantly ahead 30 years from now. Here's what they actually need to hear. Now, point number one is the invisible cost of waiting. Now, here's something that we understand now that we didn't at 25. Later, it does come. But it comes just as full of obligations as before, maybe even more. And we've told ourselves, I'll start investing when I earn more. Or I'll max it out next year. Or I'll get serious in my 30s. And some of us waited and waited until our 40s, even our 50s. And by then, life was layered. Life comes with even more baggage. Not all bad, but, there's mortgage, there's layoffs, there are recessions, there are pandemics, there are college tuition and aging parents. Later, it arrived, but it arrived very expensive. And we all know how compounding works. We've heard it over and over again. But when I was in my 20s, I chose to ignore it. And not because I didn't understand it. It was because life absorbed most every bit of my income back then. Retirement just wasn't a priority. And in reality, it's probably not a big priority for your 25-year-old Gen Zer either. So when you try to talk to them, don't try to sell retirement. Sell freedom. Sell mobility. Sell options. Because investing early, it's not all about being rich at 65. It's also about not being boxed in without viable options. We have to talk to them in terms that matter to them right now. And maybe, I don't know, but maybe if it was approached that way to me in my 20s, it might have made a difference. Okay, point number 2, which makes it so important that we talk to our Gen Z kids, is that lifestyle inflation, it's now engineered into the system. Okay, don't get me wrong here, because I know when I was younger, there were plenty of things that I wanted to spend my money on that weren't necessarily what you would call needs. I know as a kid, everything in the Kmart toy department I wanted. As a young adult, every tax refund went to Circuit City on either some really big speakers or a stereo for the car. So regardless of what era you live in, there are spending temptations out there, but nothing like it is today. Also, back when we were younger, money was a real tangible thing. It was something you held in your hand. You saw how much you had. I would go to the ATM on Friday night and take out $10 every weekend. And I would stretch that $10 out as play money for the whole weekend. course, I wasn't doing extravagant things, but still, you could make that $10 stretch. And today, kids, they've got the entire internet coming at them, trying to get in their pockets, trying to get them to spend money. And whether it's through Amazon or social media, it's all kind of the same. Also, money, it's not a tangible thing anymore. It's just numbers on a screen. And think about social media for a minute. It's not neutral. It makes normal life seem inadequate now. The bar just keeps getting raised. It glamorizes constant upgrades. It normalizes debt. It pushes the buy now, pay later like it's harmless. And much of what looks effortless is really financed. We have to tell them clearly that boring financial decisions today will create powerful financial freedom in the future. A 10-year-old car today, they still look great. No need to upgrade. Living with roommates, that's become quite normal. Skip the luxury apartment with all of the little benefits that you'll never use anyway. And here's another thing that a lot of people never say out loud. The bad spending habits that you create in your 20s, they're real hard to break in your 40s. So habits, they compound too. Okay, point number 3 that I want to make is that we need to get across to them that health, that can be a huge financial strategy in itself. Because think about back when we were in our 20s and 30s, I don't think any of us was connecting health to money back then. And how the cost of healthcare, how that could affect your finances the way it can today. You can literally be bankrupted by the lack of good health, and not just because you can't work to earn, but because of the costs associated with it. So we need to look at our bodies as the primary longevity plan. If you neglect it in your 20s and 30s, you pay a medical tax for it in your 50s. With chronic pain, or medication costs, or burnout. And poor health, it doesn't just affect how you feel. It also affects how long you can work by choice. So if you look at extended good health and what it can give you, it can increase your earning years. It also can reduce medical costs, and it protects your independence. And there's many more, but just those 3 things alone, that needs to be at the top of everyone's retirement plan. Doing what we can to protect our health, to improve our health. Because when healthcare costs are high, your financial resilience is completely tied into your physical resilience. And you know what? They may not see it yet. At 25, they probably feel indestructible. But the habits that they build early on, they can do one of 2 things. They either compound the strain on their bodies, or it can compound the strength of their bodies. And just like money and habits, health compounds too. Okay, point number 4 that I want to get across is to build optionality, not income. Because I think things are a lot different now than how we were raised. We were told to pick a career, get a job, stay loyal, climb the ladder. And then the layoffs happened, then the Great Recession happened, then downsizing happened. Things are not much different right now today. So we need to express to our Gen Z kids that it's not just about income, it's also about optionality. What's more important today is looking for growth paths, even in their part-time jobs, or to consider the trades, a plumber, electrician. Those jobs are always a high demand. They have high earning potential attached to them. Also, they need to network before they're desperate, and also look for jobs that still provide a pension, because there are still jobs out there that do that. These kinds of things, they create options for them as they get older. And yeah, I know, maybe they don't like the jobs that are out there. Maybe it feels like wage slavery. I get it. But the more that they can earn, the more they can invest while they're young, the better foundation they're going to build, the less harder they have to work, in their 50s to try and catch up. Optionality creates leverage. Okay, point number 5, and this is a big one. Let's talk about the truth about the family safety net. Let's get real about the high cost attached to the failure to launch scenario that's playing out all over right now. I put this financial stat in a video a week or so ago. A 2025 survey done by savings.com, it showed that 50% of Gen X parents were spending $1,474 a month to support their adult children. Now that is one heck of an allowance. Now I know we love our kids, but we cannot fund adulthood indefinitely, especially at those prices. If we drain our retirement to support our adult kids without a plan, well, then everyone loses later, because that bill, it eventually arrives. Remember, later always comes. Sometimes we keep helping because we're afraid. We're afraid they'll struggle, afraid they'll fail, maybe even afraid they'll turn their backs on us. But solutions built on fear, those aren't long-term solutions. And we don't want that fear transferring to them. We want them to be bold, capable, prudent risk takers. Now, if support is happening, there should be a defined timeline, clear expectations, measurable progress. Financial independence is one of the greatest gifts a child can give their parents. Now, why this matters to me. Gen X, we lived through the financial change revolution in real time. It's still changing today. We entered adulthood under one set of assumptions, and then watched those assumptions shift and shift again. We're still trying to figure out what exactly retirement is going to look like for us. We had to adjust on the fly, we had to learn new rules, and then absorb the consequences of delays that we didn't fully understand at the time. And that experience, it matters. The Gen X financial experience that we've lived, it really, really matters. And even though I don't have kids of my own, I believe that passing on that clarity is just part of our responsibility. Now, we were, and we are still, the case study, but Gen Z can be the correction. We've seen what happens when savings start late, lifestyle keeps creeping, health gets ignored. But if they'll start earlier and live below their means and protect their health and increase their options, they won't just survive the system, they'll have leverage in it. And that's the advantage that we want for them. And if you would like a little more generational wisdom, check out this video, What Boomers Really Want Gen X to Know Before It's Too Late. I've linked it here. I will see you in the next video. Bye.